Hi, I'm Mike Fleming from Deadline, and
Hey,
we're
Mike.
having a
Hi, Mike.
hey,
How's it going?
Hi,
How you
Mike.
feeling?
Fleming.
Hello,
doing well.
Mike.
Um, Now we have an exceptional panel here. Um, the MGM drama House of Gucci tells a riveting story of the infighting, greed, backstabbing, and murder that tore apart the storied Italian fashion house. Our way in is the relationship that went from love to something else between Maurizio Gucci and Patricia Reggiani. She was convicted of paying to have her estranged husband assassinated. And Ridley Scott has directed a propulsive drama with light moments about how greed and excess, take a toll on a dynastic family. House of Gucci is filled with so many fine performances that trying to describe them can't possibly do justice. Suffice to say, this is a film that will be squarely in the Oscar race in every category. Now, here to discuss is the great director Ridley Scott. Lady Gaga, who plays Patrizia, is here, as is Adam Driver, who plays Maurizio, and Jared Leto, who deliciously disappears into the role of Maurizio's hapless cousin, Paolo. Welcome to all of you.
Thank you very
Welcome.
much.
Well,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
I'll take the delicious part.
Yeah.
We are going to show a clip and then we'll chat.
Do you want to be left in the dust? You want to keep selling coffee mugs in airports? Is that your legacy? It's time to take out the trash. Aldo and Paolo, they're poison. They're an embarrassment to this company, and everybody knows it. They have to go. And you need to get your fucking business organized.
Patricia. They are my family.
So am I.
Ridley, you covered what greed does to a rich family and all the money in the world when the richest man on the planet, J. Paul Getty, wouldn't pay a ransom on his kidnapped grandson. Now, here, the Gucci patriarch Aldo sees his son Paolo doesn't have what it takes to take over the empire. He invites his nephew Maurizio and his charming new wife into the business. Aldo ends up behind bars for tax evasion because of Paolo and Maurizio, and then he loses the family business and to Maurizio, who in turn gets backstabbed. Ridley, why are you so attracted by the what happens to families that have more money and riches than one could imagine, and just basically why does it seem to bring out the worst in all these people?
I felt that actually it was not dissimilar to two infamous or famous artist families in Italy in the 14th and 15th centuries, Medici. Did you say that? Medici, and the Borgias, who were a group of family that never saw, to put it lightly, eye to eye, and actually were in a constant state of disparate agendas. And I think this is exactly what happens here. This is a modern Medici story in a funny kind of way. To me, it's so extreme. It is in a. I'm not misusing the word here and putting people off, but it is almost operatic in its extremes and in the way it comes down.
Well, I've given a brief outline of each of the characters played by the great actor sitting next to you. Can you tell me which character did you feel the most sympathy for, Ridley?
Well, during the actual experience, I think you like everyone. Then gradually you adjust to having a change of opinion. You shift to maybe dislike. I think never with Paolo. Paolo is always a victim, I think, of circumstance. And Paolo is also a very endearing character fundamentally, who believed he was more of an artist than he actually was. So he misplaced himself. But you watch Maurizio and you watch Patricia adjust from what seems to be which was, we all believe, was it a love story? To gradually, that adjustment which can happen through any marriage, but particularly in this wealthy, very wealthy marriage, where Patricia, by marrying Maurizio, believes she is now actually a Gucci. While she is a Gucci in name, she's not a Gucci as part of the empire, and that becomes her error. But also, I think she wants to add to that because there's a point of view from the woman's point of view, which feels that she was never taken seriously by the Gucci family. She'll probably round that off better than I would.
Well, Lady Gaga, now Patrizia went from being called, when we first meet her, Elizabeth Taylor for her striking looks. Now, much later on, she would be called in the press the Black Widow. What was the most challenging for you in playing her through this metamorphosis from a kind of happy-go-lucky young woman into somebody who became pretty ruthless?
Thank you for that great question. What I would say is the great challenge in building this character was that there's not a lot of information about Patrizia Gucci before the death of Maurizio Gucci. This is in the way that she became famous to the world. So I did a lot of intensive, almost journalistic type work where I read mostly exposition constantly about her, watched every single clip of any interview she ever gave post his murder, just to notice her mannerisms, also to become attuned to when she was lying and telling the truth. If you watch enough interviews with somebody, you eventually become tuned into their emotional quotient. She lies a lot in real life. So I then took myself backwards and I wrote a biography that's about 80 pages long for myself of Patrizia and her life, a diary that accounted for all of the business transactions that occurred in the company. And I thought to myself, what changed at each time and how did it relate to the script? And in the film, at any given moment, she needs someone in order to make Maurizio more powerful in the company. So whether she needs Rodolfo on her side so that Maurizio can inherit the company, or if she needs Aldo on her side so that he can sway the vote, or Paolo. So it's how did she maneuver within this system of men in this Italian culture? And she had a lot of nerve to do so, quite frankly. And I think there was a true illusion that she mattered. And I think that illusion was given to her by Aldo also using her to help, empower his position in the company. And once she was no longer useful to him, she's sort of disposed of. Then she goes to Paolo. Then she turns her. I won't give away too much of the film talking about this, but my point is this. The way that I took on the challenge of this character was with accent. 6 months of accent work, 3.5 months of accent work during the film. I didn't break character. I changed very much the way that I view the world so that money would have a value for me that it does not have to me as a person, as Stephanie. And on a deep cellular level, I wanted to understand what happened to this woman that pushed her over the edge. And what was this? Was it the murder gene? And my answer is no. I think she was so traumatized that she made a massive mistake. And by the end of the film, she's lost her looks, she's gained weight. And also, I was not afraid to play an ugly character. She was an ugly, she was an ugly person by the end of all this.
Well, now, Adam, your character, Maurizio, starts out as this idealistic law student who wants nothing to do with the Gucci dynasty. He's happy working for his wife's father's truck business. And then before you know it, he becomes Gucci's wealthy majority owner. He spends like crazy, and he becomes the epitome of everything he resented. What parts of as you find your way in to play him, how did you see Maurizio, and what did you identify with him? But also, how much did his wife had to do with this change in him and this kind of moral corruption that would drive him to divorce his wife in such an impersonal manner?
Well, to kind of answer it backwards, I guess, her involvement is kind of paramount. He wouldn't have changed, I believe, if he hadn't, and which was if he hadn't met her, and she hadn't empowered him to make him believe that he belonged at the table. And a lot of everybody's journey, I guess, in a way, in the family, is about identifying trying to be the person that they want to be, and not how people within the family view them. And that's what was exciting about playing the character. He's almost his most intelligent at the beginning. How do you go from someone saying to have a piece, of that cake, then you'll start wanting the whole thing, to be that, have much foresight and wisdom, but then it's kind of like commenting on the side. But then there's something different when actually someone dies, and just out of happenstance, suddenly you're the person that's in charge. Then suddenly the stakes are different. The pressure is different, and he can't, because I don't think he was really empowered by his father to be this person, to kind of claim what is his. So he is married to someone who has no problem kind of claiming the throne, so to speak, and only, we were just talking about this in the last interview, he doesn't really become fully himself until he loses the company, and then he kind of comes back to who he was to start, this curious, open-minded, he's fully realized at the end of his life. And then just when you're kind of expecting him to start this new life with Paula, someone takes it away from him, which is kind of his tragedy. But it's from love that kind of pulls him out of what he knows to be toxic for him, but he can't avoid her power, which is her draw, her charisma, her someone who's so outside what he's known all of his life, and seems to stand up to his most powerful oppressor, which at that time is his father, to maneuver in he's both appalled by it, but also, I think, really attracted to strength.
Yes. Well, now, Jared, as you played Paolo in the scenes with Al Pacino as Paolo's father, Aldo, were you at all reminded of the similarities to the last time Al had an inept runt of the litter family member who felt skipped over and underappreciated? I mean, I thought to myself, Michael Corleone has found his Fredo. I think, so what I want to know from you is, give a sense as to what you saw in that character that you just completely disappeared into.
Well, I appreciate that thought. I mean, just to be included in a sentence like that is pretty extraordinary. Al is, for me, and so many actors, just a force of nature. Someone who changed the way things are done. His choices and his commitment to his work is legendary. And the opportunity to work with someone like that is just phenomenal. I'm so grateful to him. And, he's an easy father to have in a film, because he's warm, he's gracious, he's funny, he's no ego. And it's really, there's a lot to learn there. But I fell in love with this character, Paolo Gucci. And, we talked a little bit earlier about saying goodbye to your character. I feel sometimes it's a little hard to say goodbye, because, you get to know this this person, this creation, this thing, and it's a little bittersweet. It kind of breaks my heart, to tell you the truth. And, from the pigeons to the physicality, the sense of humor, the transformation, and it was all just such a unique mountain to climb. Once you've done it, you can reflect upon it, but the process is gone. And for me, the process is the most important thing. But I had incredible days with both of these guys, and of course, many days with Ridley. And I feel like I just am so lucky, because I had such rich scenes with Al and with Gaga and with you. And I really am just filled with so much gratitude for the opportunity.
Well,
And under these glasses, I am crying a little tear. My cold black heart is beating and alive. But
Well-
and I just want to say, just before I stop my rant,
Of course.
Ridley fucking Scott. I mean, the director of directors, the master craftsman, the kind of the general here who just led us in this crazy creative battle. A guy who's made every type of film imaginable and is still making, powerfully relevant films that make the world of cinema richer. And I've been begging him for a job for 18 years now, and I'm so glad that he finally got sick of me asking, and he said yes. So thank you for that, my friend.
Well, that's a wonderful note to end on.